Interesting. I mean, the father is very overpowering in the family. Like, it's his show. So it,
Oh,
yeah.
that makes sense.
So in a way, it was about look at the daughter, and you say that she's like kind of in the spotlight. Like, listen, she was when they were away. Like, she does a lot now of what Kim Kardashian does. Like, she's really into prison reform and like,
Okay.
freeing people that are unjustly jailed, which in her sense, she says her parents, I know you see differently, but so like she's really been, she's very vocal about this. Like she had meetings with the president. She was very vocal in the campaign. So obviously that's why they got pardons, but I mean, we don't need to get into that. But and mind you, a lot of people are, because you say I know in LA it's different, but like a lot of people are thrilled that they're pardoned just because they are a huge Trump supporter. So it's kind of like I'm okay be a huge Trump supporter. I don't talk about politics. People think they know my politics. They have no idea. But it's almost like I don't see what that has to do with it. I understand they're probably pardoned because they are huge Trump supporters. That makes sense. You're not going to pardon someone that's not. Biden did the same thing. It's just more like, well, that's never really factored into it for me. It's just you did the crime. So whether you're, but believe it or not, there's a lot of people that are thrilled that they're out because they're such huge. So I mean, it goes both ways. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm. No,
But she
absolutely.
was in the public eye very front and center while they were in jail. And yeah,
Okay.
now maybe there is this power struggle, like you say, that the father's out and it's his way always.
No, I feel like that's just it. I feel like now it's like relinquishing control when you had a taste of it and you had a taste of this. And I think that I feel like there are people who are falsely imprisoned every day? Absolutely. I feel like that's amazing work to go out there and actually find out the people who are the real villains and who are the people who are the scapegoats. That happens because listen, error is human, right? People make mistakes, you know? But I do feel like this was a really great, like, for her, it was an opportunity to like showcase herself as like a solo star. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And now it's back down to you've just been demoted. You know what I mean? It's the person that
Yeah.
came back from maternity leave is now back to take their spot back, and you have to go back to the work you're already doing. But you're like, you had the taste for the work. Not saying people coming back from maternity leave is a bad thing at all, but I'm just using it as an example. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, it's definitely not apples and apples here, but I'm just saying that once you have a taste of it, there's a freedom in it. And I feel like now it's like no longer there, even though she's happy as like a person because she does love her father and you know what I mean? But she also is now like, okay, now there's like a little bit of a struggle here. And it's just there's not a weight lifted. Does that make sense? Like it's not a weight lifted. Now it's like, okay, what are we gonna do here? You know?
What are we going to do here? And you don't feel that because look, prison is supposed to be for punishment and also to learn, to come out a different person. Now, granted, they were only in there for 2.5 years, but that's enough sometimes. But like for instance, if something happened to me and, I live my life like this anyway, like I'm very appreciative, even though I may not live in the moment and I plan for the future. I am very appreciative that I'm very healthy today. Like I really do wake up very appreciative every day. So if I were in jail for 2.5 years and I was sitting there on a Monday and I thought I was going to be there for another 9.5 years, I can't even imagine that. And someone knocked on my door and said, "Get your things and go to the front desk and you're goodbye, have a nice life." I would be like, "Wait, the next 9.5 years, I thought this was I'm out." I would be kissing the ground. I would literally lay down on a train track and kiss the ground. You don't feel any of that appreciation from Todd or Julie.
I feel like they felt like they deserve to be released. I don't feel like too much relief. I feel like I guess the major thing is yes, I feel like if we're looking at it from like a human perspective, I feel like yeah, they're definitely grateful to be out, but they also expected to be out, so bags were definitely packed. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you bags were packed. We're like, "Oh, there was promises made. We're just waiting for those promises to come forward." So they knew they weren't going to be there the entire time. I don't feel like they went into this no, like I feel like they knew that they would get out early at some point. Know what I mean?
Interesting.
So to me, they weren't considering the 9 years. They were just like waiting, bags packed. I feel like I don't, you know what I mean? They settled in. Obviously, 2.5 years is 2.5 years. Um, but I also feel like there was just plans on how to sensationalize things when they got out. You know what I mean? Like it was like, okay, we have this time, let's figure this out. You know what I mean? How do we make this big? And from a professional standpoint, I definitely can see where, like, if we're going to do marketing and things like that, you know what I mean? There's nothing better than people being pardoned and released and vindicated, and it's a story that we've watched movies on for 100 years. You know what I mean? So movie making. So it's just it's a plot line. I just wish it
Yes.
wasn't a plot line. I wish it was more like, now we're going to go out and service our community. And hopefully maybe they'll read this and be like, okay, or listen to this, read this. Maybe, I don't know. Is there transcripts? They'll listen to this and they'll be like, okay, maybe we should give back, or, you know what I mean? Or just show some humility or like humble nature of it. I just, that's what I hope for, and that's what I send them. Encouragement for humble natures, because you know who I am. I don't like to be negative, but I just wish I saw that as opposed to this being just an opportunity to rebound.
Well, Todd has been doing, I think he's done 10, 15, 20 press conferences already. He says things like, I want everyone to know, as a white man, I was treated way better than the other black
Hmm.
people that were in. So he's saying things, but I agree. He did then, if, with the first video he posted, he said, look how jacked I am. I'm jacked from being in prison. And then he went to Nordstrom and said, basically, where's the cashmere? Not those exact words, but he was in Nordstrom. I mean, listen, if you're going to do it, I understand maybe you need some clothes, but there's a posting. Why are you posting about your shopping trip to Nordstrom? I don't know. Right?
No,
That just
I understand. Like
screams something to me.
I like that they're, that he is like, look, here we're gonna do some type of public thing. So I don't just look like a privileged white person being let out. You know what I mean? And being like, no, I was treated way differently. You know what I mean? But he was also went in there as a known individual. You're gonna get treated different anyway. Look at Al Capone. Al Capone didn't have to go shopping for cashmere. He had a cashmere blanket in his cell at Penn State. You know what I mean? So it's like, so it's just what it is. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just his way of saying, look, I'm still on top. Nordstrom's is fabulous. I love Nordstrom's. It's a great way. Maybe they're going to the twice annual sale. I don't know. They got out just in time for a sale. Uh,
Maybe.
maybe, you know what I mean? So yeah, they're taking advantage of those prices. But I just hope them all the luck on it. But I just wish I saw more of a growth than I do of an adaptability. And now we're going to make the masses. You know what I mean?
What about, this is my last question, and we can move on.
Say
What
it.
about, because I'm starting to see things now. I'm just making this up. So there's no
Just
substance to this.
do it.
But
Let's go.
so like Todd's doing all these press conferences, he's already Botoxed and looking like now Julie, they did sneak a picture of her going to the butcher. We're used to seeing her with blonde hair. She doesn't have blonde hair because it was the first day out. She hasn't left the home because her son's daughter, which they've adopted, the one with the is in
Yeah.
recovery, she's like, I don't want to leave the kids. So we haven't heard anything from Julie, which Julie's always been, subpar, like quiet in that media. But like, is there any chance, because you say they're in this together, and I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. Like, you see them